The Galactic Conservation Station orbited the dying star of Kepler 442, a massive arc spinning silently through the void. Within its biodomes lived the last remnants of 100 dying worlds, species plucked from extinction's jaws by the Coalition's desperate preservation protocols. It was a noble endeavor, the other species said, a monument to biodiversity, but they always whispered the same thing. Why did the humans have to be in charge? Rin didn't care what they whispered. She moved through Dome 7 with the quiet confidence of someone who'd walked this path 1,000 times before. The artificial dawn was breaking over the savanna simulation, painting the amber grass in shades of gold and copper. Her boots made soft impressions in the soil, real soil, shipped at tremendous expense from Earth's African plains, before the consolidation wars had salted the ground. Behind her, 3 shapes moved through the tall grass. The Zelthorian cubs were apex predators from a world 3 sectors away, crystalline beings that shifted between solid and plasma states depending on their emotional temperature. They'd been orphaned when their homeworld's magnetosphere collapsed, leaving only 6 of their kind in existence. The Coalition had declared them a Category 1 protected species. The other caretakers, Vron, Pelix, Kashar, had tried everything to socialize them. The cubs had responded with violence, then they'd assigned Rin. "Morning, troublemakers," she said without turning around. The cubs chittered, a sound like breaking glass harmonizing with wind chimes. The smallest one, barely larger than a Earth lion cub, pressed closer to her shadow. In the observation hub 3 kilometers above, Taver watched the security feeds with his 4 eyes narrowed in concentration. The Corlaxian shift supervisor was supposed to be reviewing the night's incident reports, but he'd been watching Dome 7 for the past 20 minutes instead. "She's doing it again?" he murmured, his translator rendering his clicking mandibles into galactic standard. His assistant, a young Pelix named Shorn, glanced up from her datapad. "Doing what, sir?" "The human. Rin, watch." Taver gestured with 3 of his 6 arms, highlighting the security feed on the main display. The image shifted, tracking Rin's movement through the dome. "See how the cubs follow her? They stay exactly within her shadow's perimeter. When the artificial sun shifts and her shadow moves, they adjust. They never leave it." Shorn tilted her gelatinous head. "Perhaps they're imprinted on her scent." "No." Taver pulled up older footage, his claws dancing across the holographic interface. "I've been reviewing 3 weeks of recordings. It's always the shadow. The other caretakers move through the dome and the cubs ignore them or attack them. But with her, look at timestamp 0600, 0700, 1300 every single time. They follow the silhouette." The footage played in sequence. Dawn, midday, dusk. In every frame, the 3 crystalline cubs maintained their formation, moving when Rin moved, stopping when she stopped, always staying within the boundary of her shadow, cast by the artificial sun. "Why would they do that?" Shorn asked. Taver's mandibles clicked in what his species considered a smile. "Because she's human. And humans don't train predators. They create partnerships." Down in Dome 7, Rin reached the northern feeding station. The cubs remained behind her, but their chittering had grown more agitated. She could feel them shifting states, their crystalline forms beginning to superheat with anxiety. "I know," she said softly. "New smell. Someone's been here." She'd noticed it immediately. The faint chemical signature of Vron cleaning solution. Someone had sanitized the feeding station overnight, eliminating the familiar scent markers. To the cubs, it represented an invasion of territory. Rin crouched down, pressing her palm against the warm soil. Behind her, 3 shadows fell across her back as the cubs drew closer, seeking the comfort of her presence. "Here's what we're going to do," she continued, her voice steady and calm. "I'm going to reestablish the perimeter. You 3 are going to watch and learn. This is patrol. This is how we protect what's ours." The word, patrol, carried weight even through the translator embedded in her collar. It was a human concept, ancient and instinctual. The cubs chittered in response, their crystalline bodies cooling to a stable azure blue. Rin began walking the feeding station's perimeter, checking each sensor, each environmental regulator, each security marker. The cubs followed, their movements synchronizing with hers. When she stopped to examine a monitoring device, they stopped. When she moved to the next station, they flowed behind her like liquid glass. In the observation hub, more staff had gathered around Tavor's station. "Is she training them?" Kashar, the Vron security chief, asked. His tentacles quivered with what might have been skepticism. No, Tavor said, zooming in on the feed. She's doing something far more sophisticated. She's teaching them routine, structure, purpose. He highlighted Rin's path through the dome. See? She walks the same route every morning. Checks the same stations in the same order. The cubs have learned this pattern. They've assigned meaning to it. Meaning? Kashar's translator couldn't quite capture his derision. Patrol, Tavor said. It's what humans call it. The systematic monitoring of territory. The cubs think they're protecting the dome with her. They think they have a job. Shorn pulled up behavioral data from the cubs' previous caretakers, but they attacked everyone else who tried this. What makes her different? Tavor was quiet for a moment, watching as Rin completed her circuit and crouched down again. The cubs pressed close, their crystalline bodies forming a protective triangle around her position. One of them, the largest, the most aggressive male, touched its foreclaw to her shadow. Humans evolved alongside apex predators, Tavor finally said. Wolves, bears, great cats, creatures that could easily kill them. But instead of just fearing them or dominating them, humans learned to understand them, to communicate with them, to offer them something predators rarely get, purpose beyond survival. He gestured at the screen. Those cubs are predators from a dead world. They have no pack, no territory, no future. Until her. The security feed showed Rin standing, brushing dirt from her hands. The cubs rose with her, falling naturally into formation. As she began walking back toward the southern sector, they followed, always within her shadow's reach, always synchronized, always patrolling. She gave them back their dignity, Tavor continued. She treats them not as specimens to be preserved, but as partners in protecting this place. And they understand that, not through language or training, but through something deeper, something very human. Kashar watched in silence as Rin and her shadows disappeared into the tall grass. The coalition won't like this, he finally said. They'll say she's violating preservation protocols, that she's interfering with natural behavior. Tavor's mandibles clicked again, sharper this time. Then the coalition can come down here and try to care for those cubs themselves. I've seen the reports. Rin has achieved what 6 other species couldn't. She's kept them alive, stable, and, he gestured at the screen, thriving, as if to punctuate his words. The security feed showed the cubs playing for the first time in months, their crystalline bodies flashing through the grass in pursuit of each other, while Rin sat on a boulder nearby, watching with that quiet human smile. In the observation hub, Tavor saved the footage and marked it for the coalition's next review. He labeled it simply, Patrol, Ongoing Success. Below, Rin stood and stretched, and 3 shadows immediately converged on her position, ready to follow wherever she led. Good job, troublemakers, she said. Tomorrow we patrol again. The cubs chittered in what might have been joy, or agreement, or perhaps simply recognition that they had found at last a human who understood what every predator needed most. Not a cage, not preservation, but a purpose and someone to walk beside.